to get hurt. We'll find that most of us strive to not get hurt in life. We put in effort, we make sure that nothing awful happens that would end us, that would end up hurting us. From the childhood itself, because we have been hurt multiple times, we fear and do not want to get hurt again. Being hurt once, we don't want ourselves to go through that experience. Hurt of being rejected, hurt of not being cared for, hurt of not being loved, hurt of not being attended to, hurt of being ignored, hurt of not being talked to in a certain way, hurt of someone who we admire not paying any attention to us, hurt of broken expectations. We are hurt, and having gone through all of these hurts, we create a wall around ourselves so as to not so as to avoid ourselves to go through that experience once again. But can we patiently, openly see what is it that ends up getting hurt in us? Why are we so vulnerable to hurt? Most of the time, what gets hurt is our ego. Someone says something unpleasant to us, and then we'll find that we did not like it and we are hurt. Somebody talked in a certain way which we did not appreciate, but by the virtue of not having any power, virtue of being probably in a disadvantaged position under an authority, we weren't able to say anything, and now that event has been registered within us, and any recall of it hurts us. Our self-esteem is hurt. The image that we have about ourselves, that image gets hurt. We may think of ourselves as someone who is nice, who is kind, and somebody told us that that's not the case. Somebody simply called us stupid, an idiot, and that hurt. So we will find that there is something within us which is vulnerable to hurt, which is extremely sensitive. And so what is it within us that is so susceptible to hurt? And being hurt, we will find that we guard ourselves to the point that we may even start hurting the other. Being hurt ourselves, we would inflict hurt on the other. Being in pain ourselves, we'll find that we become a cause of pain for the other. And the cycle would keep on going. It would continue. It would repeat itself. The one that we have hurt would hurt the other. The one that we received hurt from got their hurt from someone else. And so it is a cycle which keeps on repeating itself. The one who is hurt hurts another, and the one who gets hurt ends up hurting someone else. And so this cycle of hurt keeps on continuing. It becomes then rather important to understand what is it within us that is getting hurt. Because if we don't end this cycle, we don't understand what is going on inside of us, we'll find that we will always be fearful of not getting hurt. We will always be fearful of getting hurt. Our actions, our behavior, the way we are in day-to-day life would alter because of the fact that we do not want to get hurt. The fear of getting hurt would dictate our behavior, would drive our life. All our motive, our movement would be in the direction which keeps us away from the hurt. And so the life that we will be living would be always a movement away from something. We will always try to safeguard, to protect, to defend ourselves. And that is no way to live. Because what we are doing essentially is actually running. We are running away. We are escaping the fact of our hurt. We are running away from any impact that may leave its mark on our psyche. We'll keep on safeguarding ourselves, protecting ourselves without understanding, without knowing, without learning who we are, what is within us that gets hurt. We'll find that our life is condemned to live in fear, to always deny, to always defend and protect this self-image that we have. It would be a perpetual struggle. And the only way to avoid this struggle would be to understand who we are, what we are, where does our hurt take place, what is involved in that process, why do we get hurt. Is there a way to live our life by not getting hurt, by not always moving in a direction to safeguard ourselves from a potential hurt? Can we live our everyday life where nothing can actually hurt us? Is that even possible? we will have to find it for ourselves, that we will have to understand, we will have to look whether it is even possible to not be hurt at all. In fact, to wipe away all our past hurt, to completely begin with an innocence, a fresh psyche, a mind that is hurt proof, that understands what it is, and it is that understanding which doesn't live with any mark of hurt on itself. And so we'll have to begin with the question that what is it that gets hurt within ourselves? There has to be something upon which the hurt is imprinted. Just like a physical structure, a wood, how when it is struck with a hammer, there is the mark of that strike on it. Similarly, what is within us that has that mark, that records, that remembers all its hurt, we will find that we have an entity within, a figure of ourselves, and it is this figure which gets hurt, which when it is told something, which when it is insulted, which when it is neglected, it feels that hurt. So what is this figure that is alive within us? What is this figure made of? Why do we have this figure in the first place? Because without such a figure erected in our mind, we will find that there is nothing within us which experiences this hurt. Without this figure, we will find that there is no hurt. So we will have to understand, how does this figure comes about, and is it even possible to not have a figure of ourselves in our mind, a picture of who we are? If we don't have any picture, if we don't have any figure of ourselves, we will find that there is nothing to hurt. We may have physical pain, we may have physical hurt, but we will find that psychologically, if we don't carry a figure within ourselves, if we don't have a picture about ourselves of who we are, there is nothing to hurt, there is nothing to receive that hurt. It is like a complete empty space within. How can one really hurt nothing? When there is nothing, what is there to hurt? We have to have something within us, a figure, a picture of ourselves, which then receives all of that hurt. Is it necessary to have that figure? Is it necessary to have a picture of ourselves? This picture, this figure is made of memory, is made of ideas, is made of all the several identities that we identify with. We would identify with our gender, being a male or a woman. We would identify with our name. We would identify with our body, with our national identity, with our cultural identity, with our societal identity. We would have our own memories. We would have an image about ourselves that we are kind, that we are nice, that we are brilliant, that we are beautiful. And all of these factors contribute to this figure, contribute to the picture that we have of ourselves in our mind. And when any of the component of this figure is challenged, is attacked, that is when we feel hurt. When we are told we are ugly, when we are told we are an idiot, when we are told that you are a stupid man, when we are told that the culture you belong to is third class, the country you are from is ugly, the society you belong from is pathetic, all of these things end up hurting us because we identify ourselves from that. And it is not for nothing that we identify ourselves with all of these identities, because these identities make us who we are. They give us, they fill us with a sense of belonging. We will find that we seek security in those identities, in those ideas that we have about ourselves, in those beliefs, in those assumptions, in those notions that we carry about ourselves. There is security in that. And when someone challenges that, when someone attacks that, they are at the end of the day attacking our identity. They are at the end of the day attacking our security. That identity which we derive security from is now under threat. The identity of being an intelligent person, a smart man. When that identity and that idea, when that notion is disregarded, is not acknowledged, we become insecure. We feel a sense of threat. And then it only results in two ways. Either we respond back, we react, or we get hurt, or both. We are hurt, and with that hurt we respond. So we will find that the thing which hurts us the most is our own idea about ourselves. It is that idea that gets hurt. Because we identify ourselves with that idea gives us our own identity. It tells us who we are, it approves of our existence, it assures us of our being. We are scared to let it go. We are scared to actually question it, because we hold on to it for our existence, for our being. We are actually helpless. We can do nothing but to react, but to feel hurt, because what they have hurt is really not that identity, is really not that idea that we have about ourselves. They have directly hurt us because we are that idea. We are our identity. It is not, we are not something in by ourselves. We are not an autonomous entity. We exist in relation to that to that idea, to that belief, to that notion that we have of ourselves, to those identities that we attach ourselves to. We exist in relation to them. And that hurt is simply a mark, a kick on us psychologically. And it is that psychological attack, that kick, which we fear, which we have received in the past, and we do not want to receive it again. All our hurts are nothing but a mark, an attempt from the outside to show us that we are not what we believe we are. Because we believe in our identity of our country, we believe in our identity of our culture, of our own personal idea that we have about ourselves. The attack from the outside shows us that we are not that, and that displacement causes a doubt within, a threat within. That threat is hurt, and being fearful without acknowledging that we have created this figure of ourselves in our mind, that we have a picture of ourselves in our mind. We strive to protect it. And in the pursuit, in our efforts to protect our own self-image, that figure of ourselves, we become aggressive. We become violent. To protect our picture of ourselves, we begin to attack the other so as to not attacked by them first. And then all of us carry that figure, a picture of ourselves, and we closely hold on to it, we cling to it, because that figure is us, that approves of our existence. Each one of us clings on to their own figure, to their own image, because without it, we feel that we are nothing. We feel that we are a nobody. We feel that we won't exist, that our being will simply not be. Is that really so? Would we really stop existing if we do not cling to the images, to the figure that we have of ourselves? Is that really the case? Have we tried it? Have we tested it? Have we experimented with it? The idea of being a nobody is what we actually fear. Being nothing, the idea of being nothing is what we actually fear. Because to really be not a thing, we don't know what it is. To really do not have a figure, a picture of ourselves to rely on, we don't know what that is. We simply have an idea about it. We simply fear an image about it. We have a notion, the notion of not being anybody, the notion of being nothing, the notion of ceasing to exist, this notion fears us. Holding on to the figure of ourselves, the picture that we have made of ourselves, we just invent a belief, we just invent a notion that not having it would be something dreadful, would be something horrible, would leave us in distress. What we are fearing is simply an idea, is simply a notion. Because when there is really nothing, when we are not holding on to a figure, an image, a picture in our mind, there is space, vast, empty, silent space where no figure exists, so how can there be any hurt? Where there is just a wide openness, vast, huge space, and it is from this space that one truly lives. That one really exists without clutching on to something, without in a need of desperation to hold on to something. And it is from this space that one wipes out all the hurt of the past, because nothing remains. No ideas, no beliefs, no stored memory of all those hurts. All the hurts of the past can only come to an end in this space. From this understanding, in this depth alone, one can be free of all psychological hurt, where one would not then hurt the other. We only hurt when we are hurt ourselves. And when that is not the case, when there is nothing within us to get hurt, one doesn't hurt the other also. There is no struggle, there is no striving, there is no defending, struggling to protect, to safeguard. All struggle, conflict ends, ceases to be, because a sense of division between me and my memory, my ideas, my relationships ends. There is no difference between me and mine. Only this vast space remains. And from this openness, this silence, one relates with the other, one lives their life. All the accumulated hurt, from the childhood of relationships, fear is simply gone, wiped off. When we realize what we hold on to, what we cling to, are ideas, notions, some images which we seek security in, we see the futility of living a life like this, of always trying to rely on something, of always depending on something. When one does not depend on anybody psychologically, on nothing at all, not a person, not a belief, not an image, not an identity, it is this utter freedom which wipes away all the hurt. All hurt begins from this dependence, psychological dependence. When we depend, we are simply inviting hurt. To be free is to be healthy, is to not have any wound. The more psychological weight that we carry, the more we make ourselves vulnerable, susceptible to hurt. Psychological content being our past memories, the beliefs that we hold on to which gives us security, our security would be in our relationships, the ideologies that I have, the things that I identify myself with, my culture, my gender, my country, and so on. All of these things are nothing but a preparation, a ground where our hurt begins. The belief that we hold within that we are an individual, and so we need somebody to be with, that somebody should take care of us, that we need to be looked after, to be cared for. All this inevitably leads to hurt. And it would be true if we were actually an individual. We have to check, we have to really make sure that what is it that amounts being an individual, that what is an individual really is. Are they separate from the existence, or there is an entity within which asserts itself to be different from the other, from the world, from the existence? This belief of individuality is at the root of all our hurt. The figure that we have about ourselves is some separate being which is different from the others, which being a part of a culture, a part of a country is still a part, a different entity, when that is really not the case. One can carefully, step by step, inquire into one's own individuality and see that it is a myth, it is a construct, that our separate existence is a deeply held belief just because we have a body which doesn't look like the other, we have a face which which is different from the other, we have a name, doesn't make us entirely different. This is nothing but a form. The more we separate ourselves, divide ourselves, the more we believe in this myth of an individual, the more we'll find that we are hurting, that we are wounded, because the image, the figure that we create in our head is fictional. It is nothing but thoughts, ideas. That figure has no substantial reality, and that figure we think we are. That figure, we are so deeply identified with that figure that it makes us believe that it has its own separate existence. It has its own individual existence. But that is really not the case. This individual that we think we are is nothing but that figure in our mind, and that figure needs beliefs, memory, ideas, in fact this body also, to come to life. All of these things, our face, our name, is the content of that figure that we carry in our mind, which we think we are. And from that belief that we exist as a separate entity, we begin to demand, we look for comfort, we look for support, we look to depend on the other, we want attention, we want care, we demand relationships, and when those demands are not met, we are hurt. When those demands are not met, we become fearful. Having been hurt once, we fear that we end up being hurt again. Can we see, can we comprehend all this? Can we grasp this entire thing at once and put it aside? All of it is a construct which is created by the mind. And because we identify with that construct, we believe in that construct, so the hurt becomes inevitable. To not be hurt is to see the falseness of the one who is getting hurt.